Welcome to Apptastic. You are with your host Praveen.
Today's topic is chatbots. Oops, talk about irony. We have a special guest today. Let's welcome Sri Hari to the show.
Okay, so
Yes, sir.
the idea is very simple. I've sort of I started a podcast, but I never actually did the first episode, but I got the courage, and thankfully this what is it called? This lockdown drove me to start a podcast. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So I just wanted to see last week when I was talking, right? So I told about how what is a D&D? It's a Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, so
Yeah.
it's a imaginary game that as friends we do physically. Okay, but we won't get the same feel when we do it online. So we thought, what if we can actually make use of some sort of chatbot? And there were already some existing chatbot that simulated the die rolls, a few of the random aspects that the host cannot control. Okay. And also we used to have physical papers to see what is the character and what is the strength, all those properties and stuff. Okay. So what I did was my chatbot would help users if someone wants to understand, hey, how strong am I or how fast am I? So those attributes will be stored on the cloud, and my chatbot would go fetch it. So basically, they would fill a Google sheet, and I'll be pulling data from that. Okay, as simple as that. And the chatbot was running locally in my what is it called, my laptop, and it was just running smoothly. So I just told, okay, so I have a chatbot, and this is how it works. This helps us in our D&D and running our other board game sessions online. So actually, I wanted to talk to you regarding the chatbot as a topic. Okay.
Okay.
So I want to share your experience with working with a chatbot.
Okay. Fine. So it does not need to be Dungeons and Dragons only. It can be anything, correct?
Yes. I just wanted your professional experience, the pros and cons, and the difficulties that you face while building a chatbot.
So, starting with chatbot, how I got in chatbots, there are two specific business requirements that came from the corporate, and one was chat ops. So 2015-16 Alexa was somewhat new. Our DevOps team was trying to experiment with chat ops, wherein you could directly do a deployment direct from your Slack room. And chat ops needed us to integrate Slack with our Bamboo deployment. And therein we used Hubbard first, GitHub's chatbot framework, wherein text-based messages would directly go into a deployment, and then there will be a status whether the deployment succeeded or failed. But that was my first thing, and you can't say it's a chatbot completely, because all that was there was you provide a command and then it came back with a response.
Understood.
Then we went with IFTT. IFTT was for a customer wherein, so in synchronous technologies, we are building 5G based chatbot framework on MNP. It's not MNP. What was it? So on 5G, we had a messaging marketplace. That was a product which was launched in Japan. Didn't do much there, but the idea was that the SMS is getting outdated. So for carriers, they are losing revenue on by OTT message systems like Facebook Messenger and your WhatsApp. In China, they have done this many a times that everything is integrated on a chatbot platform.
WeChat, right? You're talking about.
Sorry?
WeChat.
WeChat.
Yeah, WeChat.
WeChat. Yeah,
Yeah.
WeChat. We wanted to replicate WeChat in Japan and in US. Exactly, we had the idea of WeChat only, and we would be integrating businesses, whether there are e-commerce order forms, custom design order forms, whatever we will be integrating. And for that, we had done chatbot with Amazon.com and then also with Nike. So those chatbots were done with IFTT, if this then that. So if then else is what we had done for the demo purpose, which was integrated with our RCS. So if this then that, using that framework, we had started with our RCS framework, wherein RCS was the message carrier. Instead of your GSM technology, RCS on top of GSM on 5G was the message carrier, and we were able to integrate both Amazon as well as Nike.com, wherever you can directly go and search on the websites as to what product you are looking at, and it will give you an option. So this option was using a rule engine that was driving our IVRS. Synchronous Technologies is a telecom service provider organization. So we had IVRS engine from 2004, and we pulled that up, and it will be showing you now the options. You can directly search by text using the chatbot itself, and that rule engine was integrated with IFTT. So it was a kind of decision-making binary tree. So everywhere you will get options, 9 options, 6 options, 5 options, and you can select on one, and then you will be again presented with options. So that is the way we had gone in, and order, actually when you are getting into the order, at that point in time, our chatbot was looking at your business address, your billing address, your payment, card payment, PCI compliant payments, and all of that we had done. Apart from that, we then started working with Google for Home, Google Assistant. So utilizing the Google Assistant's workflow when we were looking at how to improvise day-to-day discussions and understand voice using a chatbot, wherein it is not only a text bot, but it is also able to understand voice and able to respond utilizing voice for basically call centers. We had come across NLTK, tried to do on our own, and it bombed on us very fast because there was a huge knowledge gap in our natural language processing and natural language synthesis or generation. And therein, Google Dialogflow was able to help us configure the workflow of the chatbot. Instead of going with IFTT, we can go with Google Dialogflow, and there are intents, and based on that intents, you can go for progressive actions, the same thing that Google Assistant is using. And right now, we have done a small chatbot on Twitter, wherein you can subscribe to news, something that you had done before, I believe, a news bot. Remember that, Praveek?
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay. So now, if you select a news item and you go into details, it tries to find the related news items based on the keywords of whatever you are interested in within that news item. And that we had sold as a POC to the, ministry. It got a lukewarm response. Now we are developing a chatbot for because of the lockdown and corona, so revenues have gone down. They are not getting people for their call centers, as well as they have to make sure that all of their exams that were being conducted in offline centers now have to be conducted online. Let it be your IELTS, GRE, GMAT, almost everything they have to conduct online, and their customer centers do not have people. So we are utilizing Google Dialogflow to present a solution wherein their customer service as well as their mainstay of examinations are able to be done online. It is still a work in progress. We don't know whether we'll get the contract or not. It's a POC. So that is where I'm working on right now, utilizing Google Dialogflow. They wanted Google Dialogflow because they don't believe on anything else. And I don't know why they are so biased, but that is what I am working on. When you are talking about customer service, the basic problem is people expect you to be a human being. And we don't have people who will be able to man the call center because of travel restrictions. And again, from a call center, routing to a remote location is useless because there will be internet connectivity issues, and the call center's tracking and quality of service will drop. So now call centers are more interested in finding chatbots who are able to respond to people in natural language. Major problem which they are not limited to only English. European Union, when you are talking about, there are a lot of languages which the chatbot will have to understand and multiple intents which we have to understand. When you take India as a country also, 18 officially recognized languages, 20,000 plus dialects. We are completely doomed as to how the heck will we be able to ever understand if we are going with each regional language. But we are starting out with English for North America and UK at this point in time, because we are getting Google Dialogflow's much help in trying to understand the individual accents around the North America region and UK region. We still have a problem with Spanish and Latin in the North America, although Latin speakers are very low, Spanish speakers are very high. So once we get the chatbot working for Pearson VUE, we will be trying to reuse the experience and the knowledge of understanding natural language intent across other organizations too, in the voice world. When we are talking about the non-voice world, people generally are looking for pre-sales support. So something on their website that says if you need more help, you can reach out here, and whatever queries are there in your pre-sales support, those will be answered. It is at this point in time what we are thinking about is basically a script which is provided to the pre-sales supports, some technical support engineer. We want to modify that and make it gradual, if then this and that. So that kind of program we are trying to make. Let's see how it works out. At this point in time, we only have two backers. One is Pearson VUE, and the other one for support is Amazon. So that's about what I am doing with chatbot technology. The problem is, sorry?
Yeah, understand.
The problem is how to make a chatbot understand when a person is angry, when exactly a person is indifferent, and when exactly a person is telling you, see, I don't care what you do at your end, I just need my work done. So whether the person, depending on the context, depending on the previous conversation, the context is changing with the same words, whether it is text or whether it is voice. And with voice, the intonation, and for every person, the intonation changes with the specific geographical location, his or her upbringing, and his or her thought process. It becomes very difficult even for humans to understand what the exact meaning of the words are. Now we are trying to make machines work that way. So that is where we are facing the highest, that's where the major problem block is. And that's what we are trying to resolve with bringing in AI and feedback mechanisms to change the intents as and when context changes. So at this point in time, we are seeing 42% success. But with all AI at this point, I am not sure anybody has ever gotten to more than 60% success in your chatbot human interaction, wherein you have withheld the fact that the other side is a chatbot and not a human being. And what are your thoughts and what you have done with chatbot till now, Praveen?
At my end, as you said, so it's not that I built the chatbot, but one of my friend, he built the chatbot inside our company around our product. So the product was basically about taking surveys. So like a lot of companies, they wanted like on-site feedback from the customers, right? So they would provide some sort of like a gift coupons where if they take this online particular, what is it called, surveys and stuff, right? So what if we can actually tap into the Facebook world? That's basically our idea. And one of our customers, they were like very interested, so we did a POC for them. And I'm saying this is almost like 3 years back. Okay. So at that particular point of time, the implementation that my friend did was he used Python, and I believe it is NLTPK, I believe. So the same
natural language toolkit.
Yes, toolkit. Yeah. So basically, that is the same thing he applied, and there was basically a seamless chat that happens, and we will say, "Hey, would you like to take a survey?" And if they say yes, and we would ask them a question, and follow up will be like getting hold of all their answers. And this was something like for the first time, it was very interesting for us, and we actually started to have a sort of like a beta version, and there are almost like 10,000 people interacting with the chatbot every single day. So that was like a new experience for us. But our product never made through to the actual market because by then our company rights were sold off to some other company, so there was some issue there. So our product basically, it did not see the limelight of production, but we were relatively successful when it comes to working well with, and that too we had scenarios where if the particular person, the same person is taking survey, and when he has answered 3 questions and he has left the chat, what happens? So once he comes back, does he have to take back the rest of the survey? How do you maintain that particular data, right?
Yes.
So these were some of the questions, the unique situations we were actually facing, because other chatbots would not have this continuity issue. So again, the state machine concept, all those things. As I said, I am not the right person for this particular point of time, but these are things I learned from him. My friend Rupak, he's also part of Apptastic group. I think he would have like a greater contribution to this. But apart from that, right, chatbots as such, I see that the trend is has been there since 2017 or so. But since every as you said, correctly about this lockdown and people not able to answer. I think this technology would actually, make a big comeback right now. That's what I strongly believe, and also I keep seeing like people trying to implement even those who are not having this technical expertise. They are actually trying to build their own chatbots. This is something I have seen, and I actually came across some Discord chatbots, which were really interesting. Like one chatbot is actually used to play music inside the server. Okay, so that was like it. So that it's again, if you sort talk about it, it is basically a command line command. So like colon play, and some YouTube links you provide the chatbot, it will play.
Okay.
Okay, so it's as simple as that. And people who don't actually have a coding experience, all those things, they actually make use of it. So whenever I see something like that, I kind of like get inspired. Okay, oh, if I provide a proper chatbot, these guys might actually use it. That confidence level was not there earlier, because if I have some sort of like a weird command looking right, it will be like talking to the some sort of like a computer. But right now people are like, okay, oh, it's a technology system, it will just communicate back to me. I think
So
that's
same thing which you said right now, right? You can say :/play and provide a link. When we were developing the ChatOps program, that is how we had planned.
okay.
@Slack deploy bot, deploy bot, deploy application name to dev, will deploy to dev, to UAT, will deploy to UAT, to prod, will deploy to prod, and then it will start the Bamboo in the backend. It will start the Bamboo job, and you can see whether it started or not on the Slack integration itself. And the bot was part of the team in Slack. It was part of the group. So automated notifications will go, as well as email notifications to all stakeholders will go. It was a part of handling the Bamboo integration. We could have done it with Bamboo. We could have done it with Slack also. We had done it with Slack using Hubbard. We integrated Hubbard with Slack, and that was how it was done. And in 2017, I believe, we had also done an Alexa integration. Our DevOps team actually has done the Alexa integration. I was not part of that. Okay. Wherein you can simply say deploy bot, deploy application name, and to environment name, and it will trigger the job. So yeah, that is one part of it, but there is no continuous feedback from there. So when we did integration with Alexa, it said the notifications that were being typed in Slack earlier now came up in voice from Alexa saying starting deployment of application to environment dev or UAT or prod, whatever. And if it failed, it used to say that deployment of this application to this environment failed. For more details, look at job number, your job. So that was the initial ones. Now when we are looking at integrating machine learning to find out the context of everything linguistically, whether the person, when he says, I don't care, we don't know whether he is angry at us, whether he is being sarcastic, or whether he is saying indifferently that, yeah, I don't care, whatever you want to do, I just need my problem fixed. Whether he is angry and he is saying, hey, I don't care, I simply need you to do this, or whether he is saying, whatever your problem is your problem then. So how do we identify that? That's where we are stuck at this point in time. We are trying to find out how to make it work by machine learning and having integrate samples, voice samples for individuals in localities. In the US, if you are looking at localities, the way people talk, the context changes for every 200, 250 kilometers. And with state lines, whether you go north or whether you go south, the the accent changes, yeah. So with the accent changing, there have been a lot of times wherein different words are being interpreted very much differently. And somewhere to find out what the intent of a whole sentence is, we have to change the whole parameters to find the intent. In some places, they talk very politely, and that's a part of their culture. So you won't find something like a command, but they will be requesting politely. And in there, finding keywords and doing stuff is very difficult. If your intent finding logic is about finding keywords, it is very difficult there when people are being polite. when people are being straightforward, their keyword works. But when people are expecting that the person in front of you is a human being, there people either go very much polite or very much rude.
Okay.
If somebody is shouting at you and you're a chatbot, how do you identify whether that person is shouting at me or not? And what do I do to calm that person down? Basic psychological steps say, hear the person out, acknowledge them, empathize with them. The problem is, how does a chatbot build an empathy? How does a chatbot build a rapport? That is where we are still trying to innovate. Let's see where we go.
Man, I mean, like you're giving me like a lot of new things to actually consider. Okay, these are some of the aspects like we as a developer, right? We don't consider in the first place. But once you get used to something and you face pitfalls, that's where we actually come up with all this what is it called, learnings basically. Yeah.
So basically, in pre-sales, you need to build a rapport with the customer so that the customer buys your stuff.
Exactly.
So easily doable by a human being. It comes naturally to some, and for some others, it is not that natural.
Exactly. And also apart from having a rapport, there's always this knowledge factor that comes in. Hey, do you know this particular technology? If I ask a chatbot, maybe it will say, hey, sorry, I did not know this. But this overall experience itself changes because this lack of empathy and lack of like a knowledge base basically.
Okay, Praveen. It was great chatting with you after so many years.
Yeah. Same here, buddy. Thankfully, I'll be making use at least a few snippets here and there. Okay, because this is something I wanted to do for a long time now. But I always have this like you know this, right? The first step is always like really difficult. But once you take the first step and you want to actually do it properly, and you have to like let people listen, they have to feel like, oh, I've utilized 5 minutes of my time. What is the what is the knowledge I gain out of it, right? So that is basically what I intend, and also make other people also talk. So that's something I wanted to do.
True.
Thankfully, you were there. You are going to be my first sort of like an interview thing. I am going to see. I will definitely. So if more people are going to come forward after this, I'll be like really thankful to you, because you are my first. Say, as I said, we have to experiment a lot. So this is again an experiment. So actually, I want to talk more about hackathons and stuff. But I feel that hackathon, that interest thing is actually come down a lot. Okay. Yeah. So that's why I wanted to do something about tech, but at the same time, I wanted to engage people who also don't know about chatbot also. At this particular point of time, I have to say this. Guys, do like, subscribe, and share with your friends this new podcast. Stay Apptastic. See you in the next episode. Thank you.